Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Gil-Kist Nation Sports Talk about the NBA. We're winding down here now to the last month and a half of the NBA regular season before the big show hits us with the postseason. So we're going to discuss about the teams who will be considered locks and the teams who are still trying to make the postseason and that last few seeds that are available. Okay, we'll mostly focus on the first half of this month and what teams have to do and overall to put themselves in a better position if they can get there. All right, let's discuss our top two teams, the two teams in both conferences, and we start with Milwaukee and Toronto. These two teams are considered locks in the Eastern Conference to finish 1 and 2. Which team will finish 1, which team will finish 2 is a little up in the air. Both teams have respectively easy schedules to the finish line, so it's gonna look like perhaps Milwaukee, having a 3-game lead over Toronto, will secure the 1 seed, but don't be surprised if they slip up or start to rest up a bit and Toronto takes the 1. Well, that's all you really need to know about them two because they don't got nothing else to worry about. All right, we're looking at the top 2 in the West, and yes, it's up for grabs right now with Denver and Golden State neck and neck, but the truth is Golden State will have a very, very easy schedule at the end of the regular season. That last half of their 20 games or so will be quite simple, and you can expect them to gain a lead and secure the 1 seed, whereas Denver is in a big fist fight with the rest of the year, fighting in that division and trying their best to secure that 2 seed. It's not going to be easy for them. Now we know Golden State has been slumping as of late, and they might continue to slump right now because they're going to be going through some very, very powerful fights against some really good teams. So you can expect to watch some great matchups with them over the next couple of games here. But like I said, when the end of the season comes, it should be a breeze for them. Okay, moving on now, the locks. Let's talk about those teams that are locked in, secured. Okay, to see if they will make the postseason, we're going to start with Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers have shown us a little bit more strength of their side, going through some adversity, but they need to go through a little bit more here to really, really make themselves a contender in terms of beating Milwaukee and Toronto in the postseason. And of course, the one thing they need to watch out for is where they play seed-wise, because if they get matched up against Boston, they have not fared well in the past. Now, last year was last year, but if we're looking at this year, they still struggled even with this new team. But given their schedule the rest of the way, it should be pretty much easy for them to finish as a 3 seed. All right, moving on. You've got the Pacers. Now, the Pacers are about to go through a really hard schedule. They had an easy break just recently, but now they're going to be going into a very tight race, and it's going to get really difficult for them, so they might slip up and fall behind into that 5th seed. But at the same time, if they're strong enough and are able to get through it, they should finish in that top 4. The Celtics have been a mess, and what some people would say a very dysfunctional team as the moment is going through it. But Boston, the schedule's only going to get tougher. Having lost to Milwaukee and Toronto in the past week only demonstrated to us that this team does not know what their identity is and where they're going. It seems like it might be too much having all this talent on the roster, and they can't seem to figure it out. So if they continue this way, I think it's going to be pretty easy to say they will be the 5th seed. All right, the Western Conference, it's looking pretty good over here with these other teams. A lot of them are contenders, and believe it or not, every single one could finish in the top 2. Now, not all at the same time, obviously, but they all have that potential. Starting with Oklahoma City, their schedule will be a grind. It already started off, and they got off to a kind of a rough start, losing to Philadelphia, but that's okay. This team is a tough team. They need to forget about seed placement here, and really what they need to focus on is proving their balance going through lots of adversity. If they can win some big games going down the stretch, beating some of the powerhouse teams, that's all they're going to really need, and they can pretty much guarantee themselves a better squad in better shape when they're in the postseason, which should help them in long series, because that's more than likely what they're going to have to do. All right, Portland Trail Blazers. They have what you would say is kind of a medium difficulty of a schedule, almost closer to the easy side, which means they should continue their dominance. We know their guard play is their main focus with Lillard and McCollum, and that's all they really need here. And if they continue to do that and dominate through their schedule, they should definitely be up in the conversation for that 2 seed, which would be very interesting because having that home court advantage might be just what they need come postseason time. Hoping they're not a flop. All right, the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets are going to be going through some very, very big power tests in this first half of the month, and we can expect to see them doing a pretty good job, as we always know, with Buddy Boy James Harden. If Buddy Boy James Harden continues to post these historic numbers, I think it's fair to say Houston will be in the running for that top 4. However, the schedule won't be easy the whole entire way, and they need to basically get themselves better positioned for the postseason. Doesn't matter if they're going to be at home or on the road. The main thing for them is to be able to gain a little bit more momentum in figuring out consistency with their roster, because they kind of jump around between James Harden scoring a lot, maybe somebody else takes over. The main thing here is, can you get the rest of your team and roster to perform, or you're just going to be relying on Mr. Showtime every single night. So far it's worked out, but come postseason time, I'm not 100% sure it's going to continue. All right. The Utah Jazz, a very interesting team here. We're still trying to figure them out. We know they've got some toughness in them, and we know they've got some character. Now, they have a very easy schedule to finish the year, which makes them in prime position to claim a top 4 seed. Now, the main thing with Utah is they need to find a way to dominate. They've been showing their toughness, doing some close games going on in here against some good teams, winning some games on the road. But the main thing for these guys is, can they find a form that's able to dominate on a more consistent basis so that when they get to the postseason, they can continue that momentum and carry it in. Now, they are also the team in the same division as Denver, Portland, Oklahoma City. That gives 4 teams really all up for grabs, fighting for that division, and whoever wins it is going to pretty much be guaranteed a 3 seed and more than likely get that 2 seed. Since that's 4 teams and there's only another 2 teams, in the top 6, so when you think about it, they just got to beat out Houston and then they're in the top 2. It's a division war going on over there in these mountainous states, so let these teams duck it out, and whoever prevails will be interesting to see and might just be the pick come the NBA playoff times. So, not for the finals, but definitely a team to go to the Western Conference Finals. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the rest of the teams here. The Mountain Climbers. These are the teams that are going to do everything they can to make it to the postseason. They got a lot of work to do, and man, it sure is not gonna be easy. All right, the Brooklyn Nets are your first selection. Now, Brooklyn here is in a very, very difficult situation. All right, very hard schedule going down the wire. Very hard schedule. I'm not so fond of them right now as far as what they have to go through. It's gonna be super difficult, as we say. Now, the main thing for them is to make the postseason with about 19 games left, I believe, for this squad. They need to beat the easy teams. Beat the teams that are going in contention for these last 3 seeds here. If they can, they should be able to make it, but it's going to be worrisome. The main thing with this team, though, is they always pull off upsets. They always win games against big-time teams. So they don't do it all the time, but they do it from time to time. And if they do just enough, they should be able to get the postseason. Looking at Detroit, Detroit is definitely the fan favorite here to land that 6th seed, gaining lots of momentum, a very easy schedule, and they seem to beat all the easy teams. If they do that, it's definitely guaranteed to be a slam dunk. So it's definitely a Detroit kind of year for the postseason. All right, the Orlando Magic have been a hustling team as of late, and with the roster still trying to find its shape and rhythm right now, it's going to continue to go through that process, especially later down the month when a couple guys return. But right now, if this team can continue to move the way they're moving, they've positioned themselves to be in the top 8, and I think they should ideally stay that way. The main thing is they're going to really get experimental as the season winds down with a couple players returning to their lineup. Okay, Miami can celebrate for now with some heroics, but the truth is they won't be celebrating for long unless they find a stride, and it doesn't seem like their schedule's gonna help allow them to do so. So Miami, you're in some deep trouble here, and celebrating may not be the best idea when it comes to the end of the year because there may be nothing to celebrate for. All right, the Charlotte Hornets are to me the most laughable team that are still in contention. We mentioned last time that they would fall off, and they have fallen. They will probably continue their fall unless they can prove something that we have not seen or cannot see in them. I'm not seeing it. I don't know if anyone is seeing it. If you are, you must be a lovable fan who admires the team a little too much. Moving on to that Western Conference, the team that needs the wake-up call, needs to stop sleeping on the bench and get up and start playing. Maybe someone needs to tell them something, right? That's the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio has been a disaster as of late. These long road trips have totally destroyed the team, and they are a horrible, horrible road team. So, what they need to do? Well, it's pretty simple. Win some road games. Win some big games. Just a couple, not a lot. They have enough players to be able to do so, but right now they ain't figuring anything out. I don't know what Popovich is telling them. It probably seems like he ain't telling them nothing. So, they're a team that's in trouble and might just fall out of playoff contention if they continue down this road. The LA Clippers are a very interesting team here. You would think that their season should be coming down to a winding end in a very sad story, given all their moves. But somehow they are able to keep it going. Their core with Danilo, Gallinari, give me some Lou, give me some Montrez, and the next thing you know, this team has some players who can put up points and bring a fight every night. The main thing, of course, is consistency with this team, but they might just gain some ground. The question is, will they beat the teams fighting in the postseason? When we're talking about, can they beat the Kings and can they beat the Lakers? That's going to be the main thing, and then win a couple games, some upset games. It's going to be very necessary. All right, Sacramento's also in this loop of teams, and we know this is probably the most exciting team. So they've got a lot of young guys who are going to put up points. This is a shoot 'em out type of style team, and believe it or not, the main thing for these guys is to win a shootout, which is something they've been struggling as of late, and they need to get those wins against the big teams in those shootouts. They put on a great show, very entertaining, so I really hope they do make the postseason. So winning the games against the teams fighting, climbing the mountain, and then winning a couple shootouts, maybe just game, close it in, grow that form, and bam, lock it in with this new roster of theirs and make it a reality. Last team is your Los Angeles Lakers. And the Lakers, as of late, have shown us nothing good. As we know, the only thing they got going is, on their roster is Kuzma, Ingram, and LeBron. They've got nothing else coming out of that roster. No one's supporting them. Where's the three ball in this situation from the guards? Can somebody tell me about Hart or Caldwell Pope? Can somebody just show me, a big night from a player who we don't even know who's on the roster? Because right now this team is in disarray, relying too much on their three best players. And that's good and all, but those are all forward players. Where's your guard play? You've got some guard play, and it's just not panning out too much on the offensive end. Maybe on the distributing end, but not the offensive end. All right, Lakers, you're in trouble here. If you can stop fooling around a little bit make some upsets like you normally do, and more importantly, win the games against the teams climbing the mountain. They will make it. Who knows what's going to happen with them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this will conclude our show. We will be back sometime mid-month to tell you about the rest of the end of the season and see how everything is shaping up. So from all of us here at Gil-Kist Nation to you, have a beautiful day.